Welcome back, I'm Ian from Updates by Bodsy. This is Clive from CDS 4x4. Today we're going to carry on with the next chapter of Bodsy's Brake Bible. Subject, we're going to Morocco in a few weeks' time, so ideal time to get all the brakes done.
Absolutely. Let's crack on.
So before we start tackling anything on the brakes, first thing I just want to cover very briefly is about jacking up the car. Yes, this is the Land Rover factory jack of death. I call it the jack of death because inevitably you'll try jacking up on it and it will collapse on you. It's really not made for the job. It's not strong enough, and invariably these will fall over and cause you much pain. So that one, we don't want to use that one. What we do want to use is any of these. Now we're going to be using the 2-ton trolley jack. This is a 2-ton trolley jack we're using to lift a 3-ton car. Yes, if you're going to buy something new, yes, it would be better to have a 3-ton jack, and we will be using the 3-ton jack throughout the rest of the video and not the 2-ton jack. But if you need to jack up one wheel at a time, this is a nice easy way to do it. And we should notice the car to do its self-levelling trick. There we go. The car tries to self-level and it helps to get the wheel off of the ground. And that's more than enough for what we need to do to be able to do the brakes. So at this point we then put an axle stand underneath the car. So here's the chocks. We're putting the chocks on the opposite side of the car from the side that we're lifting to make sure it's secure and it's not going to roll anywhere. So before we jack the car up, first thing we're going to do is just to crack off all of the wheel nuts, and this is just to release them so they're easier to undo once we've got it up in the air.
So we've got a 22mm socket, which is what you should require to get your wheel studs off, and it fits very nicely on these wheel nuts. However, it doesn't fit on any of these, and if you hammer it on, you're going to damage the covers and you're going to end up with them spinning and you're going to end up struggling. The simple solution, a 23mm socket. Nuts. This one here does look like we might even need a 24mm socket, and I think we'll replace that wheel nut when we've got everything off. So with a breaker bar, just crack them off. Don't need to undo them any further, it's just so that you can get them off without the wheel spinning when the wheel's in the air. Let's find a 24mm socket. So 23 is really tight, 24 is really slack, but hopefully it will crack this off. There we go.
So we're jacking this up under the chassis rail. When you're jacking it under the chassis rail, you do really need to make sure that it is on there properly and securely. You'll see how much lift these cars give. You can see that because we're jacking it off the chassis, we need to get it higher than if we were just lifting up the single wheel itself, which is why these heavy duty jacks are worth their weight in gold. And it also shows why the Land Rover jack of death really is a jack of death. At this height, it's just so dangerous. And you'll see the whole car moves. So you do need to be really careful about this. And when you're letting the jack down, let the jack down really slowly so that it's able to properly come to rest on the axle stand. Now you can, if you wish, leave the jack in place to add additional support, but without being too tight against it. But that axle stand isn't going anywhere. So we're trying to demonstrate this using just all your normal tools that you'd use at home. So in this case we've got the 24mm socket on this particular one, and a normal ratchet. Again, this is a Halford's Advanced socket set. We've got other tools of course that we can use, but you know, for the purposes of this we'll just use the tools that you would generally try to use. Speed things up, we are going to use the windy gun. and then off comes the wheel.